The net sound is channel 3 and 4. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. Do you hear it? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Alan, are you at 38K?
Say again?
Is your white balance on 38K?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just did it off the
Off
wall.
the wall.
Yeah.
It looked a little good, but then it came in.
Okay, we're gonna start in a minute. Can I get everybody, we just want a record of who came by. Can I get everybody to sign and then we'll get started?
Don't sign this yet.
Some of you guys might remember me from Big Bethel. I don't see anybody here who covered that one. So we had a church member, for those of you who don't know, from Big Bethel that was part of, her mother was part of the Manual 9. So this is not our first unfortunate rodeo with this, because we had to go through that with Myra's daughter, who was a member of the church. At the time, we had sent a contingent up to Charleston, and also had some security issues. We also,
Does anybody plan on throwing a light on?
You want it on?
I'd like to know now, before we get started.
Yes. No.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna pull it up here.
I mean, it looks all right to me, but very good.
Pull, yeah.
Just whatever.
We'll turn it on now. That's what you're looking at.
Okay. Make sure everybody gets your name. I just want to make sure we have a record of who showed.
Sorry, would you mind on these two chairs? Is that okay?
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
You can pull them up here, it might be a little better. Unless you want to sit in them.
Kind of a hot seat. Anybody? That's all.
Good afternoon. Let me thank you for coming at such short notice. We are terribly saddened, but also greatly troubled by what has happened in Gainesville, Georgia. More specifically, what has happened involving Bethel AME Church in Gainesville. I'm Reginald Jackson, the presiding bishop of the 6th Episcopal District of the AME Church. To my right is Pastor Michelle Riser Poole, the pastor of Bethel Church, Gainesville. And to my left is Mr. Boykin Edwards, who was the attorney for the 6th Episcopal District. Let me say that first of all, we are thankful to God that this plot was stopped before anybody was either killed or injured. It is even more troubling that a 16-year-old girl idolized Dylan Roof, who carried out the massacre at Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Idolizing him and sharing the same ideology, she plotted to accomplish the same at Bethel Church in Gainesville. This incident raises very serious issues and also raises questions that need to be answered. First of all, let me make it very clear that we are insisting that this young lady be tried as an adult. We call upon the district attorney to try her as an adult. To plan this kind of an event is not that of a childish mind. This took some planning. The fact that she had a notebook and a backpack which detailed what she planned to do, and the classmates at school, either she shared it with them, but somehow they saw it. And we are thankful to those students who informed personnel at the school of what she planned to do. Thankful for the counselors at the school who notified the resource officer, who in turn notified the police. And it is troubling that as a minister, that I would have to say that I am glad, that we are glad, that Bethel Gainesville did not have Bible study on last Wednesday night. If they had had Bible study and she copied Dylan Roof, came in purportedly to study the Word, and then to pull off a massacre, raises serious questions. It also raises the question that she is a minor. What do her parents know? Were they aware of her thinking? Were they aware of what she was planning to do? This is information that we need to know. Furthermore, this raises troubling questions because others at the school, did anybody there know anything other than those who saw her notebook? These are questions that we need answered. The other thing troubling is the fact that she singled out an AME church. Again, Dylan Roof massacred people at Mother Emanuel AME Church. And I want you to know I am concerned. And I discussed this matter with a couple of the bishops across the country this afternoon. I am concerned if in fact the AME Church is targeted in people's mind because of its history, because of the role that it's played in issues of social justice across the country. So that is an issue that is really pressing upon us. I call upon all of our churches, all of our temples, and all of our mosques to take the issue of security seriously. No longer in the United States of America can you go to church and feel safe and secure. And I'm even more concerned that it's not just a church, but do you have to be scared to go to an AME church because our denomination is targeted? And let me say that no way in the world can you blame this on the current national administration, but I do think it is absolutely critical that this administration address the issue of the increase of domestic terrorism in the United States. Domestic terrorism is on the increase. And so it is not enough simply to address one incident. I believe the president needs to address the nation on the issue of domestic terrorism. The FBI has reported for the last number of years that there is an increase in domestic terrorism, and yet at the national level, at the Justice Department, there does not appear to be a concerted effort to address this issue. In addition to that, we are concerned, and the pastor and I have talked, and Attorney Edwards, we are concerned because we're not sure that this young woman is the only one involved in this plot. On last Wednesday, one of the officers of Bethel Gainesville reported that there was a young man who came to the church to ask if they were having Bible study. Was that young man a part of this effort, a part of this plot? Is there more than this young girl who is involved? These are questions that need and must be answered. If this was more than her, then we still have a major problem. Additionally, this incident raises an issue that the state of Georgia needs to address. It ought to bother us that in the state of Georgia, this young girl, this young woman cannot be charged with a hate crime. She cannot be charged with a hate crime because Georgia does not have hate crimes law. Georgia is one of only 4 states in the entire country which does not have a hate crimes law. For the last 2 years, hate crimes legislation has been introduced in the Georgia legislature. It passes one house, gets blocked in the other house. It is absolutely awful that Georgia does not have a hate crimes law. And so we're calling upon the governor, and I met with the governor during the last legislative session. And he said to me, Bishop, this is a new Georgia, and we are not going to tolerate hate crimes. Well, let me simply say to the governor, the new Georgia is not all that new. And this incident makes clear that the new Georgia is not all that new. It may be new, but it still has some bad habits. And so we again call upon the Georgia legislature to pass and for the governor to sign hate crimes legislation. Let me furthermore add that I cannot impress enough upon our faith communities how important the issue of church security is. I want to be wrong. But these kind of incidents, unfortunately, have a way of encouraging others who share the same ideology. I will be sending out a communication to all of the AME churches, the more than 500 AME churches in Georgia tomorrow, addressing this issue of church security. I believe it is a pressing issue, and I'm not sure that our local police departments have the capacity to handle it. 2 years ago at one of our churches in Fort Valley, while they were in church, someone poured gasoline around the church, slashed the tires of 12 to 14 cars. We met with the local police in Fort Valley. There was no follow-through, there was no follow-up. We have no idea how bad hate crimes are in Georgia because there's no record of it. So this incident calls to our attention the need to do a number of things. And I want to make it very clear that the AME Church in Georgia does not intend to let this incident go quietly. We want this young woman charged as an adult, and we want the state legislature to pass hate crimes legislation, and we want to make sure that this issue does not become a recurring incident in Georgia. I'll entertain any questions anybody has.
What would you want to say to the teenage girl and her parents, or at least definitely her if she's listening?
Well, I think the first thing needs to be said to her that her thought process is warped. Clearly this is an issue of hate. And the word we got from the police was she targeted this church because of its demographics. Its demographics, these are Africans, it's an African-American church. This is an issue of hate. We love her, we're gonna pray for her, but I remind people when I preach, for every decision you make, there's a consequence, either for your betterment or for your detriment. This consequence ought to be to her detriment.
Did any church members report ever seeing her?
I'll let the pastor respond to that.
First of all, we have not had the opportunity to see this young lady, so I cannot even give you a description of height or anything. So I have been asked as far as attendance-wise, but in speaking about the person that even came to the door, it doesn't seem as though it's the same person.
Pastor, can you tell us about the history of your congregation, the role it plays in the community, just so we can get a sense of its role and its meaning to the church and to you?
Well, our role in the congregation, not only saying we praise and worship, but then we go out to serve. So we are there to serve those who stand in need. Many times we may also have to take care of within the house, but we're all throughout the community. This is, I may not live in the community physically, but my members do. So then a major part of my service is to hear the social actions, to hear what is going on, so that we can be proactive, we can be involved.
What is the feeling amongst your congregation right now? Have you been able to speak with any church members?
I made sure to speak to them on Sunday mornings. After finding this out on Friday, I wanted them to hear from me. And so therefore, I tried to let them know, let us be not afraid, because it tells us that God is with us. And for our protection, I'm just letting them know things that we were going to have to do or address at the church in order to maintain safety. I try to remind them not to use that as an excuse not to come to church. So therefore, because I pointed out all the things that are going on in society. You could be driving, you could be sitting in your home, you could be sleeping. So I tried to point that out.
What kind of upgrades, Pastor, will you be adding, or can you say, to your security?
Well, of course, we had already, ever since I was the pastor there, I have the back door locked as soon as worship starts. I tried to reinforce with my ushers that they're the first line security. And then I have also addressed it with a group in the community so that hopefully the community will be even on a watch So we are just trying to do a few more things. I tried to make sure about the lighting in the area since I've been the pastor at that church.
Do you need a security guard?
Maybe yes and no, but at the same time, as I had pointed out, if I was being an advocate, if I wanted to play the advocate role, if I watch even with a security guard, I still could sneak in and do what I want to. So we're just a prayer also. I did go up to the church on Friday just to pray as soon as I found out about it.
Yeah, we had last year a workshop dealing with the issue of church security, and a number of churches now do have officers on duty doing, for example, Dr. Woodbillion Watley, St. Philip Church, for example, armed security. And I tell all of them that when service starts, make sure all the doors are locked, especially if I'm preaching at that church on Sunday morning. I want all the doors locked. But again, I think I'm going to have another session, because the fact of the matter is this situation is not getting better. It's getting worse.
Does anybody have a connection, Bishop or Pastor, to Mother Emanuel? You know what I mean? When you first heard, what was going through your mind?
And Mother Emanuel immediately came to my mind. I personally have a very close relationship with Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston. In fact, I'm going to give a call to the pastor at Mother Emanuel this evening. And again, I've got a number of calls from some of the bishops around the church already. And again, there is great concern among AMEs if in fact this denomination has a target on its back.
Because it is African Methodist Episcopal.
Correct. And primarily most of our congregants are African American. And so to be frank with you, it is very troubling. It is very troubling. All right.
So just so I'm clear on the safety issue again, and any upgrades you're thinking of making, is that something that you are considering, bringing in some kind of armed security guard or even police officers to be there on, you know?
But the city of Gainesville has already stepped up, even on Sunday. They, as far as even the patrol, are welcome to even come inside and sit while we have worship. But they have already stepped up and assured me that it will be a continual, not something that fades away, that this will be continual. And of course, I will definitely look into it. We have other points that we would like to do. We already had, security as far as the security system within the church. We had that already. So now maybe I'm looking at maybe videos and cameras more.
Yeah.
How many AME churches are in the metro Atlanta area around, your estimation?
I would say around 70 at least.
70.
Mhm. Yeah. Matter of fact, I did have a conversation with the FBI this afternoon, and they will be involved in this matter, and we'll be arranging a meeting because, again, I'm just very concerned about AME churches.
Because you said had it happen on Bible study night. When is Bible study night? Is it Wednesday?
Yes.
So possibly you can have security for Bible study
Oh, definitely.
at all AME churches. You're warning, Bishop, is all the churches.
Yeah, all the. I'm gonna send a notice to all the AME churches in Georgia, and to be frank with you, you're gonna have people now maybe afraid to come to a church on a Wednesday night, especially for example, we had a church in outside of Macon, which for the last several years had been spray painted, Target and all. We finally closed down that church. So again, these are problems which are not new.
Right.
And rather than decreasing, it seems as if they're increasing.
The last question I have is, you mentioned about the governor, hate crimes laws and everything, and you said you're not going to let this go away. What is the what else? Or else? Is there an or else? Because sometimes, even in the media, we hear things and people say we're not going to let it go away, but then people forget, time passes.
Well, I came to Georgia from New Jersey.
Me too.
And in what part of New Jersey?
South Jersey, Delran.
Pray for you. But we had a terrible problem in New Jersey with racial profiling. And we organized 600 black preachers. Again, Dr. Watley back here was one of them. And we took on the New Jersey State Police, and they told us, I had a meeting with the governor, the attorney general, and they stood us down that what they were not going to do. All I tell you today is New Jersey is the only state in the nation that has a law that racial profiling is a crime. And so just as nothing changes without pressure. And so I just want to show the governor and the members of the legislature there will be pressure on this issue. Okay.
Pastor, how many congregants does your church have?
Approximately 40.
And just so I'm clear too, when you said she went by the church and no one was there, was that because of something that, would people typically be there on that day? There was just something, a reason something was canceled, or was it a day when no one's typically there?
That one was not there. Nothing was planned on that particular Wednesday.
But it was a Wednesday night.
So Wednesday night.
And any reason why you didn't go to Bible study that particular night?
No.
I'm going to call it divine intervention. Thank God. This is one time I'm glad nobody showed up for church. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Can I hear?
Oh, yeah, I need everybody to know.
Can I need everybody to sign in, please? I just need
Can you
a.
say your name?
Pastor, can
Yeah, everybody's.
My name is Reverend Dr. Michelle with 2 L's, and then Riser Pool, and that's R-I-Z-E-R hyphen P as in Paul O-O-L.
Riser Pool,
Mm-hmm.
as in swimming pool, right?
There you go.
Okay. M-I-C-H-E-L-L-E. Thank you, Reverend Doctor. And Bishop?
Yeah, Bishop Reginald Jackson, R-E-G-I-N-A-L-D. Middle initial T, last name Jackson, J-A-C-K-S-O-N. And I used to play for the Yankees.
What part of New Jersey are you from?
I was in Orange.
Oh, you're North Jersey. My aunt was there.
Okay.
Thank you.
And this is out.
I'm Boykin Edwards. First name is Boykin, B-O-Y-K-I-N. The last name is Edwards. I'm the attorney for the 6th Episcopal District.
Thank you.
All right.